Okay, so I lied to myself. I said I was gonna just do the last video, even if I made mistakes, and I changed my mind. I'm redoing it again. So here I am, redoing this again. Anyways, enough about that. This is just a response to Skeptical Atheist about his responses, or actually they're not entirely about his response. They're more just thoughts that I was thinking about as I listened to the video, and something I think both of us have done wrong, or well, maybe not have done wrong per se, but I think we should have tried doing this on a different way, and I'll explain in a minute why, or what that way is. Mostly it's just two things about the whole, a few things, sorry, about the whole free will debate thing that I thought about. One I thought of a few days ago, just on a car ride, and the other two I was thinking about while I was watching your video. So here goes. This is the first one. This was one that I thought of a few days ago, and one thing that I think you touched on in your very earlier videos, like your first or second video or whatever that you started doing this, you talked about making like a supercomputer that could predict, if we could make a supercomputer or something that could predict people's actions and stuff. What would that do to our lawmaking system, or our jails, and just what would that do to us, or something to that degree. And I was thinking, what about the moral implications of this? I mean, when you think about it, and you said that I was thinking right, it's all action reaction sort of deal. How do we do morality in something like that? I mean, I don't think effects, reactions, or whatever are can really be classified as good or bad. They can be favorable or unfavorable, but I don't believe they can be classified as good or bad. So, I mean, if someone does something that causes someone else to do something worse, it's just actions and reactions. There's nothing good about them, nothing bad, nothing like that. It's just what happens. And that's something that struck me as a bit of a problem, I think. In that whole regard. And so that was one thing that I had a small problem with, is the moral idea of morality in things that have been or being determined or whatever. And the other thoughts I had when looking at your videos, is that the whole thing with free will is people just want to know. I think the general population, just really want to know whether their lives, what they do, how they act, what they choose to do in life, whether they go to college, go to school, whatever. I think they just want to know if that was really their choice. you know, if whether they actually have control over their own destiny, or whether their destiny is being prescribed to them. There's no way they can change it. You know, and I think that's just the main problem, or the only question that people have on free will. It's not really whether it exists or not. Well, no, it is, but it's simpler than that. It's whether I have control over my life or not. And I think that's the main question that people really ask. Instead of does it exist or not, it's do I have control over my own life? Or am I just subject to everything else, regardless of whatever I want to do or think I want to do? I think that's the main thing. And the last one, and just a side thought, actually. Something you said when, I'm probably gonna screw this up, but something you said when you were talking about having no outside influences or choices or whatever, and I'm not sure what I'm referencing from your videos. I can't quite think right now, but the one thing that I was going to say was that people either allow things to affect their decisions or influence them, or they don't allow things to influence them. Some things they can't help but have or let influence them. Some things they can. On the things that they can, that's where I think the choices are being made. Listening to your parents, listening to your boss, listening to the law, obeying the laws. Even with consequences added to such things, there's still the thing of allowing it to influence you, allowing just letting that determine what you do, or whatever. But that was just an off topic thing. The last thing I wanted to say about this was, as far as the way the whole thing you've been going into is breaking it down, and breaking it down to its smallest parts, and the whole looking at the brain and trying to figure out how we do things that way. I don't think that's a good field or a good way to argue this point. I don't. I think a better way of arguing it would be on a psychological basis, a psychological field, for discussing this, because for the brain, we've mapped the brain fairly well as far as I'm aware, but we haven't mapped it precisely, to see every little action being processed in the brain. We only see half the picture, I think, maybe. And until we get an extremely precise mapping system for the entire brain, and the neurons and the interactions and all that stuff, we can't really argue for or against free will, basing things on the brain. And that's just my thought. Until we get a better system, I think psychology would do better for doing that. But I'm out of time, and hope to hear a response from you, or if you don't want to, maybe we can talk about another subject. In the meantime, live long and prosper.